with us in studio, we have a woman who has made history not only here in the Caribbean, but internationally as well by being the first woman of color to win the Miss Universe Pageant in 1977 in República Dominicana. Did I say that correct? Yes. All right. Businesswoman. Also, currently, you are the head of Tourism Trinidad Limited. You're a wife, a mother, among so many other wonderful things. And it's great to have you in studio.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
Yes, you're lighting things up more than the Christmas tree we have outside. Thank you. So, you are a timeless beauty. But to you, what is true beauty?
I don't know if true beauty has a description. I mean, you see beautiful people, beautiful women, whether it's a personality, whether it's an aura.
Yes.
Physically, I think that all depends on the person. You know, it's subjective.
Yes.
You know, that's very, very subjective. So I think beauty comes in all different shapes and descriptions.
Right. And you have before mentioned that you always trust your gut feeling.
Oh, yes. I do.
You always trust your gut
the
feeling.
woman's instinct. You know, they talk about the woman's instinct. I do, yes.
Yes.
Gosh, and I just don't like myself when I don't take on that gut feeling. Yeah, I can kick myself when I don't pay attention to it.
1977, focusing on that evening before the big night, you won Miss Photogenic, among other titles. Did you, before being announced as Miss Universe 1977, did you have some kind of gut feeling that you were going to be crowned Miss Universe 1977? After all, you did pick 7 out of the 12.
Yeah. No, I think the day earlier in the day leading up to it, no, probably not. I think later on, maybe I got a little more confident. I always give the story, which actually happened, you know.
Right.
I'm not sure what happens now, but then the contestants who did not place in the 12 always did a dance number, and you had a costume. And when I was preparing to go to the auditorium for the show, I left my costume in my room.
Right.
I didn't take it. So whether that was just the instinct that I would have been in the 12, I don't know. But I realized after I just didn't take the costume.
Yes.
So perhaps I was expecting to be in the 12.
Okay. Even if you weren't conscious that you were expecting,
exactly.
subconsciously.
Subconsciously, you know, and then on the stage, as I've said before, something was just moving me along.
Yes.
And then the MC, Bob Barker, because I was short compared to the, 5'10", 6 feet ladies. And as I passed him, he just said to me, "Oh, they sure love you, little one," because the audience was very responsive. And I just said, God, this man's been doing this job for umpteen years.
Yes.
So there's something in that.
Wow. Bob Barker.
Yeah.
I know who I am. You know, that's such a powerful statement that I've heard you made time and time again. I know who I am. So how was that journey to self-discovery?
Well, I mean, I guess you go through things during the course of your life. But I've not been defined, or I've not defined myself by that beauty thing.
Yes.
I mean, I'm very grateful. You know, the Lord has really bestowed a lot on me, and I'm grateful for it, but I've not defined myself that way.
So how would you define yourself? Who is Janelle Commissiong?
Wow, that's a tough question. There's just so many different parts of me. I mean, You described it earlier with the when you introduced me. I'm very much a business person.
Yes.
And I think that comes from, your family in a sense. I'm very much a feminist. That comes from the family as well, because I grew up with a lot of grandmother and aunts.
Yes.
So they're just different sides of me. I think the 40-year journey has also brought out the people side.
Yes.
That you learn along the way. And as I always say, listen, if you hang in there in Trinidad, you've done well, because we're a very, very difficult, can be a very loving, but trying audience at times. So I think I've been through all of that. So I'm very comfortable with me, regardless of how people view. I'm comfortable with the me, and I don't place that much into the physical, and I'm beautiful, I'm pretty. I don't place too much on that.
So you have inspired and motivated so many. But who would have been your mentors that would have helped to shape you as an individual?
Oh, definitely. My grandmother, my aunts, uncles. I grew up with the extended family because my parents left when we were very early. In those days, everyone traveled to, to improve their lives. So we grew up with my sister Gail and I. We grew up with grandmother. She passed quite early, and aunts. And it's now in reflection when I look, I'm like, wow, Auntie June and Auntie Gemma were really, in addition to being divas, no, just fabulous women, you know. They were very independent. I grew up in a house where the women always had a career and always worked. And the brothers, my uncles, were also very supportive, you know. And I must say, my Aunt June, who was very kind of more the quiet one, she was talked into entering the first ever Miss CSA pageant, which is the civil service in those days. And she beat out the most popular person, who was Jean Miles.
Wow.
She came first.
Wow. So it's in your blood.
But again, Auntie June was not. It was just.
It just happened. You allowed everything to take motion, take place.
It just happened.
Yeah. But Auntie Jean or any of these strong women that motivated you, is there any kind of family words that you would share with us? Words of wisdom? Any pearls that you can share that, you know, a little saying that grandma used to say that you hold on to, anything like that?
Not really. I think you learn more by what's demonstrated in the family as opposed to, you know,
what's said.
What's said, yeah.
Yes.
It's what's demonstrated, and, you know, you grow up in a household with people with integrity, people who work hard, people who are independent. And I think that's what you find that your life is fashioned around.
Right. And being a strong businesswoman, having acquired a wealth of knowledge and making your stamp as someone who is much more than a pretty face, what would you say to women in the corporate world?
That's a difficult question. That's a very difficult question. It also depends on what aspect of the corporate world. It depends on what industry.
Yes.
I think at the end of the day, you just have to maneuver based on your own truth, really.
Yes.
You have to maneuver in that space based on your own truth. I'm not one for selling out. So, you know, you've got to do things based on your own truth. I mean, when people ask me, I have, you know, some business experience. But for me, my biggest accomplishment was when I was a managing director of Bowen Marine.
Yes.
I did that for 14 years.
Yes.
And I was this lone woman in an absolutely male environment. I mean, boats were built by men, boats were used by men. There were no women in the industry. And I learned to carve out my own space and to hold on to what was rightly mine, you know, in terms of the industry and the business. So a lot of it is experience. So now, I mean, when I'm asked, I say I'm a boat builder because I learned to build a boat from scratch.
Yes.
You know, when most people doubted, because there was the beauty queen thing, you know, the beauty queen's coming back to run the business.
Yes.
But it's something you have to want it. I wanted to do it.
Right.
I'm never one to run away from things. And I wanted to do that.
Stand up and face it head on.
Yeah, I wanted to do it, yeah.
Having lived a portion of your life outside of Trinidad and Tobago, and you possibly would have the ability to relocate if you wanted to, if you so desire, that is, why was it so important for you to have stayed here in TNT?
You know, if you believe that life just moves you where you need to be,
yes,
it moves you where you need to be, you know. I don't know why, but I could have gone anywhere. But I was also tired. I had a very, very, very busy year traveling, and I was tired. And it had been my ambition before to come and open a business. So I think I wanted to see that through.
Right.
But if you believe, you know, life, it leads you sometimes where you need to be. You know, I have a beautiful daughter, and I said, well, that happened here. So it just leads you where you need to be.
Got you. So Queen Janelle Commissiong Street. Congratulations on that. What an honor. How does it feel to have a street named after you? And even more importantly, what is your hope for Port of Spain? What would you like to see in our nation's city?
Gosh, on the day that of the street naming, the official ceremony, I said to the mayor, you know, if and if I'm being asked, the one thing I want is for it to just to be a clean street.
Yes.
You know, but I have to say that I do find that the Port of Spain Corporation, they're making an effort in all of Port of Spain.
Right.
And there was just so much opinion around that, you know. Should we change history? Should we this? Should we that? There was just so much opinion. It made me think about it, which was not something I did before in terms of the whole history. And I recognize that, you know, it's whoever's in control at the time.
Yes.
There were Spanish names. A lot of us don't know that. Then the British came, and that's when they stamped their names on everything.
Right.
And I often ask people, do you know there was a King Street? And people don't know that. I said, yeah, King Street became Marine Square, which I remember when I was a child living in Port of Spain. That's now Independence Square, which the name was changed when we became independent. You know, so perhaps, I don't know, should we now be looking at changing, because we were in control of ourselves for 50-something years, should we now be looking at changing names now? And then I had someone say to me, oh, yeah, but you know, they're still going to call it Queen Street. I said, yeah, but it's not for your generation. It's for your grandchild. You know, it's not you grew up on Queen Street, you know, knowing Queen Street, but it's for your grandchild that, you know, 40 years from now, they would call it Queen Janelle Commissiong Street and would know the history of it.
Wonderful.
So for me, that is what is important.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us in studio. We
my
are
pleasure. I'm having fun here.
Oh, so we could go on then. Well, I want to wrap things up with asking you, as we're in the Christmas season, what is your Christmas wish for TNT?
Gosh, take a deep breath, really. There's just so much buzzing around the crime,
Yes.
the this, the that. Just for everyone to just take a deep breath for the long weekend.
Yes.
Because it's kind of going to be a long weekend. Just to take a deep breath. And then let's, you know, refocus in 2018. Because it's been a stressful end of year for
Yes.
everyone, I think. Yeah.
I like that. Take a deep breath. Osa.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us in the studio
Thank you
and
very much for
allowing us to
inviting me.
celebrate you.
Thank you. All the best to your listeners, and, you know, wishing everyone the best health, happiness, and every, you know, prosperity in 2018.
Thank you. Have a beautiful one. Compliments of the season to you and yours.
Thank you.
Janelle Commissiong.